Good morning, everyone. Edna here from the Legacy Care at Home. I'm joined today by Taina. She's going to be talking a little bit more on how we have been a resource for her family. So Taina, can you talk to us a little bit more on how is your dad, how you started the process with us?
Sure. So for a little bit of background, I actually, my folks live in Tampa. I live across the country. I lived in California and actually just moved to the state of New Mexico. So finding care for my folks is something that came up about 2 years ago. My father was diagnosed 5 years ago with Parkinson's, and it progressed very quickly. He went from living independently to losing the ability to walk. Dementia started to kick in, and he was taking these horrible falls. The sad part about having a disease like that is that you don't realize your limitations. So he was getting hurt, and right about the time that the paramedics had to come to my parents' house repeatedly to pick him up off the floor because my mother couldn't do it herself. Was about the time we were like, this is too much. You guys worry about cost, but we really need to make sure that you guys have somebody who is there, who can help on a daily basis. So started to look. I was given actually a list by sorry, my daughter's here with me too. Was basically given a list by my sister's husband. They had received a short list from somebody as they were doing research trying to find their own caregivers for his mother. And they had basically gone with the first person that they had seen. They were happy with what they had. But I did my due diligence. I started going down the list. I looked at Google reviews and came across yours. I had good reviews on there, which is what you hope for, because it's a big decision to bring somebody into your home or your parents' home.
Somewhere else.
Yes. It's a big decision to do that. And you had good reviews, and you were also the most responsive. There were folks that didn't call back, maybe called back days later. And I found that communication and that responsiveness is something that stuck. It was not just a one-time thing. It was consistent. It has been consistent. So it's been about 2 years now. And that's how we found you. And the problems we were trying to solve, again, were care for my dad. On a daily basis is what we were looking for.
Can you talk to us a little bit on Taina's dad? His name is Angel. Can you talk to us a little bit more about, Angel, who he was before, his condition progressed, and also, the process for him of having help? It's something new, not only, for you as a daughter, but also for him, how he's changed and how he has progressed.
That's a great question. My dad. So my dad has always been. So my dad is a very, very proud New York City raised Puerto Rican man, very much self-made and very independent. Has moved across the country multiple times, not afraid to try something new, and was always had a high level of energy. He's the kind of guy that would go out and play racquetball, even in his 60s, with people who are half his age and beat them a good portion of the time. He was quite a guy, very, very much into reading and films. And, the challenge of this is starting to see that passion fade, those abilities fade. It's who my dad was before. So one of the big important things in finding somebody was finding a caretaker or caregiver, my apologies, who would be a fit, who spoke Spanish, could understand culturally where he was coming from. And that's something you guys were able to provide. So sorry, I hope that hit a good portion of what you'd asked.
No, I think it's also important to talk a little bit of who Angel is.
Yes.
Our service goes beyond of providing care. We want to make sure that we're still talking about who he was at some point, even though right now, his condition has progressed, but he's still Angel. He was productive in our society. So for me, that is important, so we can get to know who he was before and how he's doing now.
Yeah, and for a little bit of background, also, he was really untraditional in that he was the stay-at-home parent. My mother is a physician, and when my brother and I were younger, he was the parent who was there for us, raised us. And then eventually when we went off to high school, he went off and was the office manager for my mother's practice, so it would be involved in social, advocacy and that sort of thing, culturally. Big fan of music, loved all of those things. But, the thing that I try to do right by him is that, he showed me what it is to care for somebody, to look after them, to make sure that they are okay. And, my hope is to be able to give that back to him, to reciprocate, in his time of need in his life.
Thank you for sharing that, Taina. That's beautiful. Your family had an obstacle to not start services right away when the need presented.
Yeah, the obstacle for us, and I think for a great many people, is always cost, right? It's a scary thing to see that number. It was less about, oh, do we bring somebody in, the trust issue. It was less that and more cost. And what I would have to say to that is there comes a point where you just have to do it. Where there is not even a question of need, you just have to go for it. And even if it means you're starting a certain number of hours or a certain number of days, you can always work your way up however you're needed. But if I say that if you find yourself in this position questioning whether or not you need it, yeah, just get it started, because the relief was immediate. And being able to have an assessment from somebody who could learn my parents' baseline and provide feedback was so helpful, because you can't always trust the patient to tell you correctly. They may not remember, or their perception of reality might not be what's actually happening. So it was always nice to know that there was somebody coming who could check and make sure they were okay.
What has made you the happiest of working, with our company, with our agency?
Oh, that's there are many things, but among them, the genuine caring, the advocacy for my dad. And I say that because while we started off with care with him at home, he's gotten to the point where he needs a long-term care facility, which is where he is now. But you guys have, come with us. You guys have stayed with him, because just because they're at a facility doesn't mean that they're getting attention all the time, right? It's very easy for them to be ignored and really just maybe they get their diaper changed and that's it. But they don't have the interaction with somebody. So to have a caretaker that is there for them, advocating and letting you know when something isn't right, there's so much peace of mind with that. You guys have also exceeded our expectations, and again, just looking out for them. I can't say that enough. And he has so enjoyed the relationship. My dad personally has enjoyed the relationships he's had with, the caregivers that he's had over the last 2 years.
That's beautiful. The other day, a funny story, he called us asking us like why the afternoon caregiver hasn't show up, and he only has care during the daytime, not in the afternoon. But he was like, "Oh, where's my caregiver? She's not coming in the afternoon." So he's happy. So even though we're only a few hours with him during the day part time, it made me feel good that he was asking for more.
Right.
And looking forward to having our caregivers and companions. So that was really wonderful for us. And good thing that you mentioned, that he was home, now he needs a facility. So you're seeing
Yes.
the benefit of having care follow your dad to that long-term care facility.
Absolutely. And it comes, and I go back to that, the barriers for a lot of folks is going to be cost, but it's so worth it. You just have to do it. And, you hope you can increase as the need increases. I can't say enough. Yes, it's absolutely needed at home, and absolutely is needed at the facility, even more so at the facility, because there are times when they definitely ignore the care that the facility itself gives is not what you would want for your family. And so you guys have been great about raising your hand and saying, no, like you need to check, make sure their stuff isn't getting stolen, make sure that they are being treated properly, being changed enough, that sort of thing.
We'll always be our clients, our members' biggest advocate. I know you're far away, and with family dynamics, it's harder for you to be at all times. But every time our caregivers give us a call, I make sure that you know what's going on.
Yes.
That way, even though you're not here, you can call the facility. You can tell like, hey, this is what's going on. We need to get things better for my dad. So I think that communication, it's so important to make sure that Angel has the care that he needs now that he's in a long-term care facility.
Yes.
So how you have been with us for around 2 years, right?
2 years, yeah.
So exciting.
Oh, it's gone by quick.
Right, yeah. Well, with the pandemic and everything, I feel like time has gone by so fast. It seemed like yesterday, but thank goodness we're past that, and we are in our new normal,
Yeah.
as I would say.
Yeah.
And thank you. I appreciate you.
Why are you grabbing my hands?
Hold on once. Sorry, I want you to sit up, baby. I'm in a meeting. We know how we do the meetings. Oh, sorry about that.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to say hi?
Come on, come sit up. Come sit up. Come say hello. Come sit up here. Oh,
Hi. Do you love Grandpa?
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
That's good. Grandpa's doing well, so that's good news.
Yes, it's very good news.
Yeah.
No.
I went to the park with Nana a few days.
Well, having the caretaker who could look after your thought that made it so that your Nana could take you to the park. And that was important because that's the other side of this that we haven't talked about is the impact on my mom, that it's been a very difficult, as you've seen, a very difficult road for her, that remains, very complex, but her having to, one of the big things that she gave up was her life. I think when your spouse decides to become a primary caregiver or has that in their head, it's a very isolating experience. So having somebody who she could trust to take care of Dad lets her have time with my daughter, lets her be a grandmother, which is something that she really had lost, when my dad was diagnosed because she had to take care of him.
And I can relate with that, even when I go home, now my dad has caregivers and he's doing well. But before that, my mom, she couldn't enjoy even free time with me before I had my daughter, just because she had to be home and she was worried. And when she finally, opened up and realized like, hey, this is what you need. Now every time I go home, she can actually go out with us. She can go to the park, she can go to the beach, she can have fun, she can go to dinner, she can go to lunch. She's not worried. So I'm happy that you have been able to spend time with Grandma too.
Yeah. Are you happy with that? Yes.
Yes, that's wonderful. So if you were to recommend our services to any other family, what would be your best advice?
That coming back around to that the important thing is, schedule the minimum hours that are comfortable for you if cost is the factor, so that you can experience the relief, make sure it feels right for you, that it's a good fit for you and for your family, and enjoy the relief that comes with finding somebody who cares, has good communication. And one thing that I've always appreciated too, Edna, is that you guys have asked the question, is the caregiver a good fit for my dad, right? And making sure and finding that right person that works well, and that even if you get to the point where, okay, maybe in-home care isn't an option, but it has to be a facility, still look at getting somebody there, so that you have an advocate who can be there, who can have eyes on your folks when you can't, because that is such a peace of mind, especially whether you're near or close, or whether you're far away across the country like me. I can't speak highly enough to that.
And also, let's talk a little bit more about your mom. I know this was also hard for her to accept, to realize. So as a daughter, like what advice do you have for that other child that is encountering the same situation, where mom is still skeptical of having help because she thinks she can't do it all, and we know they're struggling to be able to be their own person, be a mom, be a wife, be a daughter, and all of that. What would be your biggest advice to that child to start that conversation with their loved ones?
You make them part of the process as much as you can. And by the way, for background, in case there are questions about it, I have power of attorney for both of my parents and healthcare surrogacy as needed, so it's easier to make those decisions. But yeah, you will encounter pushback because, my parents are both two fiercely independent people. And I completely understand the inclination to say no to help. But again, I think we probably, in our experience, we waited a little longer than most folks probably should. You shouldn't have to wait for the paramedics to show up for the third time in a week to pick up your dad off the floor. But that's how much pushback I received. But, you have to be really firm in saying, Mom, I'm going to do this. We're going to bring somebody in, and I really want you to be part of it. And please, let me know how it feels. And once we had somebody in place, the relief for her was pretty immediate. And then she was like, yes, we should have done this a while ago.
That's good to hear. And now that you mentioned that you had POA, can you talk to us a little bit more on how we were a resource for you with, with multiple community resources for you guys to?
Yes. So, and that's a great point. So, in this process, a lot of questions have come up about, how to best take care of my folks. You gave us an excellent referral for an elder care attorney who put the POA in place, helped us with Medicaid applications, which were tremendously helpful. Have also, whenever, the transition points have come, like when Dad has had to go to facilities, you guys have provided feedback on what you guys have known through your networks. So all of those things have been really helpful, and not just that. In the times when my mom hasn't been able to pick up supplies for herself, you guys have done that. So I again, it's that peace of mind is on so many different levels. The best compliment I can give is that I don't worry when you guys are there.
Thank you for that, Taina. We're so happy that it's been 2 years, and Angel's still with us, even through
Yes.
Through everything that has happened. We've been there, we showed up, and we will always do that until he's with us. And
Yes.
I appreciate that. I know it's you guys been so loyal to us, and you've stayed. So I really value that. And I in all this process, a friendship has developed.
Yes.
So that's also beautiful that we both are going, have been through similar situations in lives, and that we can support each other. So for me, it's more than a business. For me, it's about also to build a relationship, being able to help with the resources that we have, and also with with my personal experience, that things will get better. That it might be rocky sometimes, but if you have the right support through the right support group, you're gonna get through it. So thank you so much for being part of our community. I am so blessed to have you in our lives.
Thank you. And again, yes, you guys have, we have we have daughters who are about the same age. Our folks have gone through very similar things, and you sharing your experiences, put a very real touch on this, because again, these going through this and watching, watching my dad's disease progress, watching the challenges that my mom has come across, it can feel really overwhelming and really isolating. A person making this decision is probably not making it, thinking that they have all the time in the world to make it. And, that you really provided a lot of peace of mind and genuine caring. And it wasn't just, oh yeah, I have people, you'll be fine. You show up whenever I'm in town, make a point of getting to know my dad. That's so appreciated.
Well, thanks so much for your time. And I know you have a busy morning ahead, so I appreciate you taking the time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day with your daughter. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to continue to provide care for Angel.
I so appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ed. And I so appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.